In this accessible.org Insights video, we're going to go over a very common scenario that seldomly gets talked about. And what prompted this video is I received an email that in part read, we were reached out to by an agency telling us they could get us ADA compliant and coach our team to eliminate the issues going forward, but it felt scammy that they knew about the suit before us. I want a second opinion and your prices seem better. And this email was from a Shopify website owner, and it's not the first time that I've received an email like this. So, what the website owner was getting at is something feels off, and many website owners echo the same sentiment. Something doesn't feel right about a web design agency or a lawyer that you have no connection with, and they're contacting you and telling you that you've been sued, and then they're trying to sell you something. So, is this a scam? Well, it's likely not an outright scam, but it always could be. So, you always want to make sure to verify that you have actually been sued. What you need to know is there are several lawyers, web design agencies, and digital accessibility companies who regularly engage in this practice. So, as soon as they find out about a lawsuit, they're sending an email or sending a letter or sometimes even calling you, and they'll tell you whatever it is that they offer is exactly what you need. So we provide the accessibility solutions you need. We'll make sure your website is ADA compliant. We'll fight your case, etc. So again, it's likely not an outright scam, but there are bad actors that are always looking to take advantage of situations. So you do want to verify that you've actually been sued. But also keep in mind that many digital accessibility companies will mislead consumers into thinking their quote unquote solutions will prevent lawsuits when they know very well that they will not. Also, with the web design agencies and marketing agencies, how do you know that they can actually make your website ADA compliant? What has happened is many marketing agencies and web design agencies have entered into web accessibility and ADA compliance because they see it as a way to increase their revenue and possibly convert those leads into other services. But most of them, it's not impossible, but most of these agencies don't know what is required. They don't have the skills, experience, expertise, knowledge, attention to detail, etc. They're not paying close enough attention to really provide the services that clients need when it comes to following best practices for ADA compliance. So most of the web design agencies and marketing agencies, even though they've entered into the space, most of them do not have what it takes to actually fulfill the service the correct way. And then with serial litigation, we know that plaintiffs' law firms are routinely suing website owners over website accessibility. As a result, defense attorneys have seen an increase in work. But as another part of this, defense attorneys now have their own niche industry in settling cases, which there is nothing wrong with settling these cases. The vast majority of these cases settle. But what that may mean is that some of these defense attorneys may just be engaged in the business of churning out settlements as fast as possible. And obviously, you want someone who is going to vigorously defend you and look for any potential options to lowering the settlement amount further or possibly pushing more against the plaintiff's law firm. So, how do these different entities know that you are sued? Well, they're using a service to monitor new complaints filed in state and federal courts. So, the second a new lawsuit is filed, they contact you, and it really is a race to get a hold of you because there are multiple different companies and agencies engaged in this practice. So, they're all trying to get a hold of you first. How can you verify if this is a real lawsuit? Well, the best way to check is to always contact a defense attorney, optimally one that is experienced in this space and one that wasn't who contacted you originally. And so many defense attorneys will offer you a free initial consultation of some sort. It will be a brief call, but this is a good way to check if the lawsuit is indeed real. So what should you do next? Well, obviously contact a defense attorney who is experienced in the space. That's always a great first step. You also want to follow that attorney's advice, but you also want to be proactive in making fixes, because you can easily be sued again. Just because you're sued once doesn't mean that this is over. So for making fixes and for taking immediate action, I recommend my course, which is the ADA compliance course. This course is specifically designed so that website owners can take immediate action and fix the accessibility issues that are most likely to lead to a lawsuit first. Also, through accessible.org, I offer audit and remediation services, whether or not you go through accessible.org, as long as you are choosing a reputable provider who provides excellent quality services, you're going to be in good shape. And then I also have a video titled the ADA Website Compliance Checklist. I'm going to link to that in the description. This will give you more context for everything that I've just talked about and what your next steps could possibly be. And then on this last slide, I just have, it's important to familiarize with yourself with the website accessibility industry before you really take any strong action, because what will happen is, as you start researching whether or not this complaint is real, whether or not your website is actually inaccessible, etc., the different services and options available, as you look through Google, it can become very difficult to sift through what you actually need versus what you don't, because many consumers, when they get started with this, they are being educated by the sellers, which is really, it can really work against you in many circumstances. Now, there's irony here in the fact that I am a seller, but I will tell you that many sellers are pushing you towards the quote unquote solutions that are best for them to sell versus what you actually need to make your website ADA compliant. Now, the end objective is always full WCAG 2.1 AA or 2.2 AA conformance, but how you get there is very much going to affect how much you spend and how long it takes. So you want this to be as inexpensive as possible, and you want the conformance to come as quickly as possible. The second bullet point here is companies knowingly deceive customers into buying quote unquote solutions that won't really advance them to what they really need. So that's what I was just talking about. We need to make sure that we are taking the direct path and we are not diverted into something that we don't need to pay. And that really, I can tell you that millions of dollars are basically thrown away on different solutions that nobody really needs, but it's sold and it gets you involved in accessibility. But what you really need are the services initially, and then at that point, then you can start educating yourself, training, and really learning accessibility. It's not as difficult as it may seem initially. So if you learn accessibility, and that's what I'm recommending now, just spend some time and learn accessibility. But be aware that there are many sellers that are trying to divert you onto a different path other than the direct path to full conformance. And then the last bullet point I'll leave you with is the quality of the services that you need varies. And that's why I talked about choosing a reputable provider, choosing a provider that is known for quality services. Because if you get a bad audit, which an audit is going to be where you are finding accessibility issues, then if you get the bad audit, then there may be many issues missing. And then also I have here marketing and web design agencies. They really don't have expertise in this. So that's why I recommend you'll likely come across some of the marketing and web design agencies, but just understand that they might not have all of the attributes necessary to follow through on what they're selling. Many of them think they do, but when you hurry through accessibility and you try to rush through ADA compliance, you miss some things. It really is something where you have to pay attention to detail. You want to move at a quick pace, but if you move too quickly, if you rush to this, if you think this is easy right away, then you're likely missing something. So just know that when you are reading through the materials, many of the people that are writing the materials don't really understand what they're writing about as it is. A good example of this is if you search for how to conduct a website accessibility audit, there are many results in Google where they don't even, the person writing about how to conduct the audit doesn't understand how to conduct the audit. So this is why I say you just have to be careful with the information you get, but research, understand this, and then proceed forward. So I will include links to different resources in the description.